welcome to my channel. In this video, we will be continuing where we left off from the previous video. As requested by one of my subscribers, I've decided to share some of the tricks and some of the tips that could help you guys with beautifying your designs. In this video, I might make this, I don't know, maybe a 3-part series, depending on how long it'll take. But hopefully I can squeeze as much as I can in this video. But yes, alright, so first things first, we'll be starting with our ceiling decoration. You can just go ahead and click general and look for your square box. You can just slot that in right there by the corner. Change the height to 5 centimeters and set that to 250. So it sits right at the top of our ceiling. Alright, so what you're going to do now is clone your ceiling panels and just make sure each and every single interior wall has a panel. We'll see the final product at the end and it'll all make sense. There you go. Moving on to our kitchen, you will now move on to kitchen, and we'll start off with our fridge. And we can fridge to 8 to 5. You can just pretty much slot it right there. Add your cabinets, your lower cabinets. Slots right there. Go to corner cabinet, lower corner cabinet. You can just go ahead and clone that right there. And slot it in right there. Alright, once you're done with that, you can go ahead and add your kitchen sink and stove. Okay, just add the double sink right there. Sorry about that. Good. Add it towards the window. There's supposed to be a window here. Next up, we'll be adding our stove. You can add it right there, along with our okay, wow, dog. You can add our stove along with our oven. So you can add that in front of the stove actually. We'll set that right there. I'm gonna make this cabinet a bit smaller so that it just fits right into the stove. Just pretty much move everything up one bit. Okay, now I should pretty much be looking more or less something like this. Now you'll go to your cabinet, just set it above you can set this one right here. Now add your corner cabinet. And remember to do the same thing with this one. You can just change the size to 90 by 90. Alright, so you're going to clone the cabinet and move it to the other side. Before we can fix the corner cabinet, slide it in right there. And then now you can adjust it so it's the same measurement on all ends. Okay, now we're just going to resize the cabinets to 85 instead of 40. So you can just apply that to the cabinets which are on the ends, the top cabinets which are on the ends. Make this one 85 too. Right. So it should look more or less like this. There was actually supposed to be a window by our sink. I'm quickly going to add that. I must have deleted it by mistake. Okay. Go back to kitchen. You can go ahead and add your hood right above the stove. Then set its height or vertical position to 250. And your kitchen should look more or less something like this at the moment. But in this video I made it specifically gray. Made the bodywork to be a dark gray. So instead of painting each and every single cabinet, you can just click on this one and we can change the handle also to, can make it black. And now instead of clicking on each and every single cabinet, you can just go right there, click copy. Since we already colored this one to the color that you want, say to all, done. Now that process only applies to the cabinets and not the corner cabinets. Click on our cabinet, click on the bodywork, copy the color and paste it onto the bodywork of the corner cabinet. Change your handles to black and repeat the same procedure. Copy to all, done. Then now it should look more or less something like this at the moment. Just go ahead and click on any box, pretty much clone it, move it over to your stove, align it to the wall, make sure that it's the same size, and we can just make this thickness of size, I think 2 centimeters is just perfect. And then you will set this to height 250, vertical position 250. This would be basically our wall tiles, but since we don't have wall tiles in this app, we'll just use that just to add a bit of different texture, different color towards our our kitchen. Okay, so right now it should look more or less something like that. I prefer using the living room chairs, so you'll just go along and go to living room, grab the chair, rotate it to the other side, just pretty much clone them. I'll say 3 chairs is more than enough, and just basically space them accordingly. You can move your clock actually towards the side, just so it doesn't look too empty. Alright, moving on to a living area since we're done the kitchen. You will just go to living, add your L-shaped sofa. Make the size 260 by 250 is perfect. And then just move it along. Well, there is no fixed point for our couches, but you can just move them more or less away from the door. Away from the door and away from our steps. You can pretty much change the color to any color you want, but I will be going for a brown, kind of maroonish color, a dark brown. I'll be going for a dark brown color. There we go. Just to add a bit of contrast. Please, I am not an interior designer, so I'm not professional at this. I'm just trying to help out, you know. Alright, so once we're done with that, you can just go ahead and add your mats. You go to general. Your rug, my bad. Like I said, there is no fixed measurement for this, so you can just basically move them along in where you want. Go for a grayish color. Then you will clone the rug, move it above our previous rug, and then now basically resize it down to 253 by 244. Then we can make this one white. Then since this one is on top of the other one, we will make it 1.1, because if it's 1, it'll have this effect, which we're trying to avoid by all means. So to avoid that, we'll just make it 1.1. This is basically a texture two-tone rug, and there you go. To avoid that, we have done our mat specifically like that. You will insert a wall. You'll insert a wall, make it make it 254. At no specific point, but you know, just more or less towards the focal point of the couch. So it's more or less aligned with the couch. I think right there looks right about fine right there. Okay, so it should look more or less something like that. Then now you can move away your ceiling panels just so you can see. Then you can go ahead and make it black. Now we can go ahead and add our wall opening to the new added wall. To make sure that it doesn't move from where we have placed it, we'll just do a clone. And just move it right there. So now we can move our wall away from the wall so we can add these wall openings. And we can set them to 230 height and set them at 240. And we can make the size to 2.5 centimeters. Lock the size, move it down along. Let's place it right there. Now, oh my goodness, now you can move your wall back and you can go ahead and delete that. Then just clone this all the way through. Continue this all the way through until you're done. So now you can start deleting them in between just to create a bit of so that we can space them evenly. My delete this one and just maybe slightly enlarge this one. Alright, then viewing it in 3D, it should be something more or less like this. Okay. Now onto creating our TV panel. You will just clone your ceiling panel. Change its height to 140 and set its vertical position to 200 and also make it black. And you can make the size say 2.5. And we can make this to 152. So in 3D view, it should be something more or less like that. Then now you can go to general, look for a bookcase. And just make it the same length as your TV panel and then just decrease the size down to 120. Change the size to 25 and set the vertical position to 85. And then we'll just resize this down to a 25. Here we go, just lock size. Then I'll go back to living and we look for our TV. Also set it to be 120. Change the height to 70 and set it to 170. And then in 3D view it should look something more or less like that. Then since now we are done with this side, you can just go ahead and add your ceiling panel back. Okay, so our living room should look something more or less like this. And our kitchen should look something more or less like that. Then now to add a bit of decor to our ceiling, what we can do is that we could add another, I'm gonna call this a ceiling panel by the way. Add it towards the middle. Let's say we make it a 168 by 140 and just set it right here above in the middle towards our mat. Should be slightly towards the middle. I think that's about good enough. Okay, so she looks something like that. And then I will clone it, set it at the same place, make this box 25 by 25, set the height to 3 and set it at 246. Also change the color a bit to gray. I think that is good enough. Back. For now, we can just rearrange this to, let's say, maybe 256 so we can see where we have placed it. We'll move it back to 246 once we are done. Okay, so now for the next step, we will add cylinders. So you will scroll down to general, look for cylinder, change the size to 2 by 2, make the size to 35 and set it to 250, and then we can make the color black. And then clone it, move the next one towards the middle, then clone it again, and then set the other one just a bit further apart. Since this is already fine, we can just move this back to 246. So now we can go ahead and clone these cylinders. We can click on our square again, copy the color, and then paste it on these cylinders. Make the cylinders 5 by 5. Make the size 25. Set the vertical position to 220 and then move it towards so that the black cylinder is at the middle. You can go ahead and clone it and do the same for the other one in the middle. Set the vertical position for this one to 240. You can go ahead and clone it again. Then place the one right there and also set this one to 220. Okay. Alright, now that brings us to an end of our part 1. Part 2 should be up, so please be on the lookout for that one. And once again, thank you for your like, shares, and subscribe.